Buenos dias und herzlich willkommen bei Gate 7, deinem Podcast über Fernweh und Fotografie. In dieser Show geht es um Menschen, für die Reisen mehr ist als Spaß und Erholung. Freue dich auf praktische Tipps und Tricks, wie du tief in fremde Kulturen eintauchst und lerne, deine Abenteuer in bewegenden Bildern festzuhalten, egal mit welcher Kamera. Bist du bereit? Dann los, lass uns abheben mit deinem Gastgeber, Kai Beermann.
Der Klimawandel gehört zu den dringlichsten Problemen unserer Zeit. Für viele Menschen war das allerdings lange ein eher abstraktes Thema. Mittlerweile kommt es aber auch in Regionen, die in der Vergangenheit stabiles Wetter verzeichnet hatten, immer häufiger zu extremen Ausschlägen. Heftige Regenfälle, Überflutungen oder Dürre sind die unübersehbaren Anzeichen dafür, dass die Natur aus dem Gleichgewicht geraten ist. Wir Menschen tragen mit unserem hohen Konsum von nicht-erneuerbaren Energien einen großen Anteil daran. Der Fotojournalist Sebastién Leban beschäftigt sich in seiner Arbeit mit eben diesen immer sichtbareren Konsequenzen des massiven Raubbaus an der Natur. Seit 2018 reist der Franzose um die Welt, um den Klimawandel in Bildern sichtbar zu machen. Im Rahmen dieses Langzeitprojekts hat er auf Tangier Island vor der Ostküste der USA auf Höhe von Washington D.C. Menschen getroffen, denen das Wasser buchstäblich bald bis zum Hals stehen wird. Ihre Heimat ist dabei, Stück für Stück zu versinken. Dennoch halten viele der strenggläubigen Inselbewohner den Klimawandel für eine Strafe Gottes, der mit Gebeten statt mit einem veränderten Verhalten zu begegnen ist. Wie durch ein Brennglas wird am Beispiel von Tangier deutlich, vor welchen Herausforderungen uns der Klimawandel stellt und was uns droht, wenn nicht sofort gehandelt wird. Das Interview mit Sebastién habe ich bereits vor einiger Zeit auf dem Festival d'Argosy Baden-Foto im Herbst 2021 aufgenommen. Links zur Webseite von Sebastién sowie zu seinen Social-Media-Profilen findest du wie immer in den Shownotes. Wenn dich das Thema Storytelling und Reportage auch interessiert und du selbst zu einem visuellen Geschichtenerzähler werden möchtest, dann schau doch auch mal bei Abenteuer Reportagefotografie vorbei. Das ist das Projekt mit einer eigenen Community, das ich gemeinsam mit Thomas Jones von den Fotologen mache. In Webinaren, einer exklusiven Podcast-Serie sowie in Videokursen zeigen wir dir, wie du Geschichten in Bildern erzählst und geben dir auch Einblicke in unsere Projekte und an den Dingen, an denen wir aktuell arbeiten. Im nächsten Webinar zum Beispiel beschäftigen wir uns am 26. Januar mit der Street Photography. Schau mal vorbei auf www.abenteuer-reportagefotografie. Den Link findest du natürlich auch in den Shownotes. Jetzt aber hinein in das Interview mit Sebastién Leban. Viel Spaß! Hello, Sebastián. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk about your exhibition here at the Photo Festival in Baden.
Hello, and thank you for having me in the podcast.
Sebastián, to start off, what does it feel like to see your work exhibited in this way here all over the city? It's a quite unique venue.
Yes, exactly, and I think it's amazing to see the picture in the middle of the nature and see people walking around and looking at it and for free. So I think it's the best way to show the work of every photographers.
Mm-hmm. It's a work that deals with climate change. So nature is a big topic. It's here exhibited in a perfect environment. Let's say everything looks fine. There's no flood. There's no damage or visible damage to nature. In contrast to what you done in the United States with this particular project. You went to a little island called Tangier. It's just a couple of miles off the shore of Virginia, close to Washington, D.C. Tell us a little bit about how this came about. Why did you decide to go to this particular place?
Actually, this project is the first chapter of the biggest project that I'm working on since 3 years about the consequences of climate change and especially the consequences on the population. So I decided to go to Tangier because, as you said, sometimes you can see the consequences, sometimes you cannot see. And I think photography-wise, you have to show something that makes sense and that's visible. And I think Tangier was the most tangible and visible thing to show, coast and ground, and because it's a rich country. It's the US. I mean, it's one of the biggest country and more powerful country in the world. So when you think about climate change, you don't think that the rich country will be impacted. So that's why I decided to go to Tangier and to show what's going on there, because it's you can see it from your eyes. So that's very important, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very important point that climate change often is a very abstract topic, at least here in Western Europe. Apart from the floods that we've seen now more often than in the past, but otherwise than that, we are not that affected, directly affected as some other parts of the world. So I think this is a great approach to show this, to make it more direct and show what the real impact is about. I guess that was also your point behind the project, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the goal was to find some symbolic places. Tangier is the first, and then I've been to Senegal, to the Netherlands, and to the Maldives, and yeah, I mean, symbolic places that people can understand and realize what is going on and what will be going on. And even if you're living in a city like New York City, I mean, you will be impacted because it's on the shore, and the sea level is rising and the temperature is rising. And so it's tiny details, but put together, they will make huge changes, and you will be impacted, of course.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Sebastián, then let's look at some of the pictures. We can walk by here and try to describe as best as we can what we see here, to give an idea of what this body of work is all about. So starting off with an overview from above of the island, and
so this is a overview picture of Tangier Island. So as you see, it's a very tiny community. There's like 460 people. More or less, and this is the main street. Actually, there's two tiny street and the main street, and people are living there. And as you can see here, the tide is high, but and the water is going inside the land and inside the houses, the gardens, and everything. And so when the tide is high, there's like 1 meter high in the street of 1 meter high water. So it's crazy, and it gives a glimpse of what is waiting Tangier in 20 years. Because when the tide is going down, I mean, the water is less high, but still, I mean, you can see how many meters there is between the house and the ocean. It's very frightening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can only imagine what will happen to this place in a couple of years from now. It was hit very hard with when the Hurricane Sandy swept over this region. That was in 2012, right?
Yeah, in 2012, most of the fishermen cabins were destroyed, a couple of houses, and still every year they are threatened by a hurricane, like in September. And even when I was there, I was in the beginning of September, and when I arrived in D.C, there was like a storm and hurricane alert. And so they told me, okay, you can go to Tangier, but the island will be evacuated in the next 24 hours. So I was, oh my God, it's the timing is, I don't know if it's right or not right, but still, I decided to go on the island and to spend the first night, and then the hurricane moved a little bit south, so I could stay. The weather was really, really windy, but I mean, if not this year, it would be the next year, and they are really scared of the hurricanes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a question of time.
Exactly.
Sebastián, what I really like to know, how do you go about a project like this? I mean, it's not a place that you go and everybody is going to welcome you with open arms, and it's just been waiting for you to come there to cover the problem around climate change, especially with people who, as we will see later on, are huge Trump supporters in their majority, and have a very contrary point of view when it comes to climate change. How do you go about a project like this?
It was kind of tricky, I have to admit, because first of all, when I was doing some research before going to Tangier, I mean, I couldn't get any answers from people living there, like the town hall, or so it was very tricky. So I decided to go there and just do what I do usually. It's like walking around, talking to people, and explaining what I'm doing. And of course, at first it was kind of complicated because people, as you said, they're not very welcoming, especially when you come to Tangier to talk about what's going on, since they do not believe in climate change. So they reject the scientific facts. So it's kind of complicated. But I wasn't there to argue with them. I was there to understand the way they perceive the situation, and they try to imagine their future. So I wasn't arguing. I was just explaining, okay, I'm here to see what's going on, and I want to understand, and I want to see, I want to take pictures. So of course, some people were not that welcoming, but I was lucky to find a couple of people that helped me, and that and it was after a few days, I spent like 10 days on the island. It was more easy, especially because there was a lot of coverage of Tangier in the US media, and the problem is that journalists are coming for the day and they're leaving the same day, and so they saw that I spent more than one day, and I tried to understand more deeply what was going on and the daily life. So it opened a little bit more the relationship between the community and me.
Mm-hmm. And to make it a concrete example, do you go, for example, then to a bar, a restaurant, sit there and try to see who else is there, and maybe how you can strike a conversation, or how does it work?
Usually, yes, I do that. The thing is that in Tangier, there is no bar or restaurant. I mean, there's one restaurant that is open maybe 2 hours a day, every 2 days. So you see, it's very tiny. Mm-hmm. So no, what I did is that I was walking around, and the first person I've met is the mayor, which we'll see on the next picture. Mm-hmm. And the guy is a real character on the island. He knows everybody, so he helped me a little bit to meet a couple of people. And I was just walking around. I see someone, and I start the conversation. And okay, if it goes well, I keep on talking and taking pictures. Otherwise, some people just told me, "Go away! I don't want to talk to you. Don't take my picture." It's always the same. So. Yeah, when you have bars and restaurants, it's easier. But in this case, the restaurant was more like on the seaside, on the shore with the fishermen, and that was the place to go.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's so fascinating to hear the stories behind the pictures, because there's so much work, and it's not just pressing a shutter button and getting the picture. You have to get into these situations where you're able to capture the essence of this story. And you mentioned the mayor of the town, so we can move on a little bit to this picture here. He kind of was your gateway into the community, and a mayor, of course, he knows everybody there and has respect among the people. So I guess it's a good way to start, because he can open doors to other people.
Exactly, yeah. And I started by spending a whole day with him on his boat, because he's a fisherman from generation, and he's fishing crabs mostly. So he has like nets, Casio nets, and so we spent a whole day on his boat and talking, and he's a very nice guy, actually. And so he understood the way I was, what I was doing there, and what I wanted to show. So he was really helpful. But he's a real character, and they have a special accent on the island. It's really, really difficult to understand, because it's a mix of English, British accent, because they are from the descendant of the English people who came to the US and settled on the Chesapeake Bay. So it's a mix between British and the deep south of the US. So it's very, very complicated to understand. But he was making some efforts to be understood. So yeah, and the guy is incredible. is a huge fan of Trump and a huge fan of God. So he's listening like Christian radio on the boat and singing Christian songs all day. So it's really funny. And you see that there's two symbols on the picture. The first one is the fish, like the iscus. It's like the Christian symbol. And the other one is the Star of David. And you might wonder why there's a Jewish symbol on the boat. It's because they are Christian, but they have to remember the name in English. I'll figure it out. So, but the thing is that they are supporting the Jewish people in Israel, in the Holy Land. They're giving a lot of money to the Jewish people, especially settlers, because in their community they think that the Jewish people are on the Holy Land, while the Christians are going back and settle. It's kind of crazy, but still, yeah, they have a Israeli flag, so it's a very strange community. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how was your day at the boat with this man? You said that he was listening to a Christian radio or this. How are you more of a still observer of what's happening, or do you engage with him? How did this day look like, or what did it look?
Yeah, first of all, I'm observing. I mean, I'm here and I'm just wanting to keep on doing what he's doing, his daily routine. So taking his boat, some coffee, going around, saying hi to people, and then going to the sea to fish. And yeah, mostly I'm observing and I'm trying to connect with him. I mean, it's not an interview, so it's like a chit chat and trying to understand how he's working and what kind of people he is, so I can do my work correctly. But you see, he has an incredible face. I mean, he's a real character in his look and in the way he talks and the way he's representing the community, because he's doing a huge work about the community. He's trying to do something on the political level, because he knows and they know that the only way to save the island is to build a dike, and it's very expensive. And he knows that the federal government they wouldn't give I think it's $600 million to build a dike, but to save not even 500 people. I think deep down they know it's not worth it, but they keep on fighting. So yeah.
Okay, let's move on a little bit here. Yeah, another picture that kind of encapsulates what you just mentioned already: the Israeli flag, then the Trump.
I remember they are evangelical Christian, so that's the church, the specific church. So that's why they're supporting Israel and the Jewish people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the same guy, right?
Yeah, that's the mayor. His name is James Eskridge, and he's called Hooker because everybody goes with a nickname on the island. The real name is not used by anyone. And the cross you see with the inscription "Christ's life" was planted here by the mayor, because, as I said, he's a very strong and deep Christian, and one day he said, okay, I have to plant crosses all around the island, so you can see many crosses on the island with different messages. Yeah.
Sebastián, how do you go about making the edit of these photos and the way or the order in which they are displayed? Here it's you have the main character again, the mayor, with the flags on a flagpole and near the harbor, and then on the other hand next to it you see a more quiet image with a cross in a swamp and a bird sitting on top of it. What is the editing process? What does it look like?
So the editing process is always difficult, especially when you have to edit your own work. And I mean, I think for my personal point of view, I'm the worst editor of my work. So I have to get some help to get perspective and to try to understand things you cannot see when you know your images too well, and then you've been there and you've seen your images thousands of times. So this specific edit was done with the help of Bastien Duval, who is in charge of the Fisheye Gassili Prize that we are part this year. So yeah, we decided to organize this edit with different categories. Like first of all, it's the what is the essence of the island, which is the fishing community and the daily life, and then we go on more on the political level with the Trump and the Trump supporters and the political aspect. Then we keep on with the youth, because it's the fundamental aspect of the island, because people are getting old, they're dying, and the young generation, the youngest generation, that they don't want to stay on the island. They want to go away on the continent and study, and not to live on the island. So that's the turning point of one of the turning point of the story as well. And we finish with I think the main line is the water is always there on this edit. So yeah, Bastien did an amazing work with this edit. I mean, I think because the story was exhibited before, and it was different images and different order, different edits. So it's nice to see someone else perception of your work and the way you can present it to tell the same story but differently.
Yeah, it's just one big body of work. You came back with lots of pictures, but then in the end, it's all up to the edit, what you make out of it. And out of one body of work, you can edit many different stories, depending on where you want to put the focus on.
Yeah, exactly. It's a reverse pyramid. So you start with a lot of picture and you go to, at the end, you have to keep like maybe 20 pictures. So it's, and yeah, as you said, if, regarding the place or the exhibition, you can present different pictures. And so that's great, I think.
So while taking the pictures or while being on the island, you still don't think very much about the editing or the future series, or is that already in the back of your mind?
No, I always have to keep in mind what I need. It's not what I need. Of course, it's what I can get from the people, from the pictures, from the story. But I always have in mind that, okay, I need this kind of picture, or this aspect of the story. I miss this aspect, or I have to go there. I have to do that because if I tell the story this way, this will be missing, or I have to keep on digging this aspect. Always have this in mind, of course. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the storytelling aspect, or how to develop a reportage. You don't to tell it in a compelling way. You need different images. You don't. We started here with the overview, the establisher shot to get the big picture of what's going on, and then you need details and all these things. What is your perspective on that, and your personal style of working when you do reportage?
I think it depends on the stories, but the most important point is to get into people's daily life. I think this exhibition starts with this overview, but that wouldn't be the way I will show it in the first place, because I like to get into the stories with something less, or something that is more fine. I'm not fine, but
more specific.
Yeah, less. When you have to dig a little bit to understand. This is too graphic, too obvious, actually. So yeah, I will start with maybe the mayor or maybe the cross. So you have to you have to ask yourself, okay, what's going on there? I have a few elements. This is like maybe an island. They're religious. I don't understand why. So yeah, that's the way I like to get into a photo edit. Like slowly, and then you bring one picture with another information, and then you bring a strong picture, like it could be a double page on a spread in a news media, and that's the way I like to organize the story.
here, this particular story, you have all the elements that make a compelling story. You have the conflict that is out there, climate change, a threatening topic, and then you go into the details and have a look at what the specific impact is, and you have characters that have to fight or live with the threat and what they are doing. So this is the traditional or classic setup for a good story, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. Even before going to Tangier, I mean, there was the climate change aspect, there was the political aspect, religious aspect, and of course it was. I saw a couple of pictures before going there, but I was astonished when I saw the place. I mean, it's amazing to photograph. So it was like, all the elements of a good story were there. I just had to make it together.
Yeah, take advantage of what you found there. So let's move on a little bit and talk about the political aspect here. Here you see an election campaign sign, Trump, Pence 2016. Like you already mentioned, most of the people living on this island voted for Trump. Well, it's kind of hard to understand from an outside view what makes people vote for a guy who denies climate change and would most definitely make their situation worse in the future. You said you didn't go there to argue. That's not the point of your work. But what did you hear in your conversations with these people? How can you explain their point of view, or where does it stem from?
I think, first of all, historically, the island always voted on the right side, and Trump was a super duper right side. I mean, with the way he's talking and promising things and denying other things, and he was going in their direction. So they just thought, okay, it's amazing. We're gonna. And the thing is that there's a little story with the Trump and the island, especially the mayor, because during the first year of Trump's presidency, there was a story on the American TV about Tangier, and one of the member of cabinet of Trump saw the reportage. And he decided to give a call to the mayor of Tangier. So the mayor told me the story. I was on my boat fishing, and I got a phone call from my wife. Said, "Okay, you have to come home. President Trump just called, and he wants to talk to you." And so he went home and picked up the phone, and Trump was on the line actually, and he said, "Okay, the island is there for centuries, and you will be there in many years." So that's nothing. I mean, that's just words. That means nothing. But they keep on with this kind of stuff. It's like religion. You don't ask someone, "Why do you believe in God?" They just believe. So that's the way they keep on with the daily life and politics. It's just the same. They don't dig deep inside Trump's ideas, if you can talk about ideas or political view. So it's just like some shadow that is protecting them, but I think it's empty shell at the end.
Just their hopes projected on a strong, presumably strong person like Trump, and 87% of the votes he got in this place. So that's huge. Yeah.
It's a huge percentage of vote. I don't have the exact figure from the last election, but I think it's quite similar because they didn't change, and especially the way Trump was thinking about climate change when he withdrew from the Paris Agreement, and they were really happy about it. I mean, it was going into the way they think. So
This is a very strong image here of a man that you took inside his van, or he's living in a mobile home. Yeah. A poor setting, some pictures of the past hanging above his head, and you see an old man watching television. Quite a depressing image, or the mood that this reflects. You see a man, who with great hopes, but kind of defeated by life a little bit, it seems.
Yeah, I think you get it. It's really defeated by life, because this is Ray Cooper. Is 25 and is supposed to be retired, but of course in the US it's really complicated to get a pension. And this guy, he worked his whole life as a fisherman, but he doesn't have enough money to own or to rent a proper house. So he's living in a mobile home. And and he told me that he has to go back to a friend's boat to fish and to go back to work to make a living, to keep on living in his house. So it's very sad, actually. It's very sad, and the community is relatively poor on the island. It's the case of Ray Cooper is not the only one. But I was really touched by this man, by his story, by the way he was living and the way he was talking. It was very, very moving. Yeah.
Yeah, and it gives you an idea of why people think the way they think. If you imagine so many disappointments along his life, he worked all his life and he's left with basically nothing, and now he's threatened to, his home is threatened. He might have to leave the island, and all these little things put together, you can grasp what makes people or how people tick there.
Of course. And as you said, when you have nothing and work your whole life and get nothing, when someone like Trump is coming and saying, okay, I'm going to save you and I'm going to take care of you, of course you believe, because you have nothing else to believe. So you can understand a little bit more with that.
Yeah, and in that sense, your work makes a great contribution to understand, to get a better understanding of what from a perspective of where we are, we might perceive as like, how can people think the way they think? But going there with your camera, taking these pictures and bringing this back and offering the opportunity to get a glimpse into a community that otherwise you would have no idea of what people think like. So this is very valuable, and the power of photography in a work like this.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad if it's working, if the goal is working, because yes, as I said, it's a very remote community, and when you see the pictures, you take off the American flag, you cannot imagine that this is in the US, a few hours away from the capital D.C. So it's I think it's important to show that in a rich and developed country there is communities, there is people that are struggling and that are facing apart from the rest of their problems, the climate change consequences.
So politics is a big issue. People voting mostly for Trump, Republicans very conservative. Religion is another very important part of people's life there. So we move on a little bit along the exhibition here. Yeah, there's another picture of a Trump supporter, 2020, America First, in the newspaper. You see the headline. What's this character like?
This is Tommy. He's a fisherman as well, and he's like a business owner. There's a tiny coffee shop on the island, and he's the owner of the coffee shop. And I think he has 3 fishing boats. And you see him with Trump 2020, but it was in 2018, so he was already supporting Trump even before the end of his mandate. So it was really funny, of course. This is inside of one of the fisherman cabins, so you can see like a piece of newspaper from the Trump's inauguration. Yeah.
And this is, I think, what you're looking out for as a photojournalist, right? Or for these little things pinned on the wall like this, a newspaper giving more context to the picture.
Details that is giving context and that is making the story stronger, I think. Yeah. It's I like it. I really like this picture.
Yeah, it encapsulates so much about your story. You see the the Trump, the political side, and then through an open window you get a glimpse outside, and there's an old wooden boat. So the fishing aspect is in there, the swamps, the water. So
yeah. It's there's a huge gap between Trump's inauguration and Washington and the life of the community, like in the middle of the nature. I like the contrast in this picture.
Yeah, I also like it. It's an amazing picture. Okay, so let's move on to religion. Here we are inside a church, people with their Bibles in hand, praying.
Yeah, actually there's two churches on the island, which is a lot for a very tiny community, and they have, I think, 3 services a week, I think. It depends on the churches, but yeah, and a lot of people is going to church, and they're talking a lot about hurricanes, about what's going on in the island, because even if they don't believe in the climate change, they see that the water is going deeper in their front yard every year, and that the land is going away. So I mean, they see, but they are convinced that it's a punishment from God. So it's a punishment from God, so they have to go more at church and pray even more, and put their destiny in between the hands of God. Mm-hmm. So that's the way they perceive the situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Well, this explains why they are not open for scientific evidence then, if you look at it from a religious point of view. Of course, from their point of view, it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And even there's I was in touch with when I wrote the story, I was in touch with a biologist who is working on Tangier for 15 years, and he's always talking and struggling with the people, because I mean, he has scientific facts. He published a huge report in the Nature review, and he's struggling because he's trying to convince them that okay, I've been studying the island for 15 years. There's scientific facts. I know what's going on. So just try to listen, try to understand. But I mean, they wouldn't believe it. So
yeah. Then there's another picture here of a house, and the people have started to protect their houses or to elevate them a little bit.
Yeah. You can see that this houses was elevated with tiny stones, and even they put different stairs on the front yard, and even they have small golf carts. They don't have car on the islands; it's golf carts. And so they have a special parking spot elevated a few, like 1 meter higher, to protect it from the flood, from the high tides and from the coming flood. But yeah, I think this image is quite powerful, because you see that the situation is dramatic. You see that the water is getting higher every day, every year, and on the other side you see tiny kids playing, like they do not realize what's going on. So it's a dramatic situation with a very nice and innocent daily life scene. So I think it's quite sad to see that, because maybe when they will grow up, the island won't be there anymore. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a very powerful image that, you look at and you see so many different, angles that you can go about it. Basically what we've been doing for the last decades, just shutting our eyes and seeing the effect slowly rising and getting bigger and bigger, but still acting as if it was fun and having a good time, like these two girls playing there in the water.
Yeah, I think it's really dramatic, and we, of course, we are responsible for it, and the previous generation, of course, they are responsible for it. But that's why I hope this kind of picture will will catch people's attention and say, okay, now we have to do something on our own level, but on the political level as well. And I'm not sure that picture is able to change like the political level, but still, I think it's important for me to do this work and to show these things. Yeah, of course, I don't think that will make a difference, but I have to do it and I have to show it.
And yes, you mentioned this exhibition closes with the youth, with the young people, and this brings us to the last 3 pictures here. You have a look inside a school. Also, there's on the board some religious, like something from the Bible, and you see a couple of girls there.
It's not a school. It's called Sunday school, but it's not a school. It's a church. So it's a Sunday morning when the grown-ups are attending the mass, the service. The kids are getting religious education upstairs. So yeah, that's why it's Sunday school, and you have all these religious symbols adapted for kids. And on the other pictures, it's like a Sweet 16 party. One of the kids from the island was celebrating his Sweet 16, and yeah. I think it was important for me to close the exhibition with the youth, because it's not a closing, it's like an opening for the story, because the future of the island, apart from the climate situation, will depend on the young generation, like always, because if they decided to stay there and to fight and to try to change it, or to fight to get money to build a dike, or even if they are able to imagine their future on the island, this will make a difference. And the thing is, now they are going away. They don't want to imagine their life in Tangier. It's too complicated. And the last picture is quite symbolic, because the people you're seeing are not from Tangier. They just moved in. So it's pretty crazy. Who would go and buy a house on the island that will disappear in 20 years? But this is, I think, one of the most touching people I've met on Tangier, because the couple, they were homeless people. They were living in the street, and they saw in Tangier an opportunity to build a new life, and to go there and to rent a house first for very cheap money, and to start over. And maybe the future of Tangier will also go through this kind of stories. So that's why I wanted to put this picture at the end, because it's a glimpse of hope, maybe for the island.
Glimpse of hope. What is your personal prediction of this particular place? Like, having spent 10 days, you said, on the island.
First of all, I wanted to go back and keep on photographing the island, especially for the election 2020. But of course, I couldn't go there because of the situation. But I will go back, and I will keep on following these people and photographing the island. Of course, I'm not very optimistic about the future, because I see that. I can imagine that the federal government, they wouldn't spend so much money to save the community. But I will keep on following them and telling what's going on there. I think they deserve it. They're the first victims of the situation, so it's important to keep on telling their story.
Yeah, and it's an important work and a long-time project. This is one part of your project. In a broader sense, you're dealing with climate change in different areas of the world. What are the other spots that you are looking at?
After Tangier, I went in Senegal, in St. Louis, to tell about the situation there, because they are facing a lot of erosion and storms as well, and the fishermen that are settled on the shore are dying because the waves are destroying the houses, so they're dying. And what I wanted to explain about Tangier, about St. Louis, is that they are the first climate refugees of Africa, because they were moved many kilometers from the shore. So it's the whole economy of the region that is changed, because they're not able to go fishing anymore. So that's the only thing they do for generations. So it's pretty complicated. And the other aspect in Senegal is that when there is the water is going high, or there is storms and hurricanes, the water is going, the seawater is going on the land that is cultivated, and because of the salt, they cannot grow anymore. So, of course, once again, the whole economy of the region is shifting, and they have to adapt. And especially in Senegal, they're not very well supported by the political power. So yeah, so this was Senegal. Afterwards, I went to the Netherlands to write a story about the way the Dutch people are dealing with water for centuries. Because as you probably know, like the Netherlands are, I think it's 1/3 of the territory that is above sea level. So they have to deal with the polder system, with the dike and sea barriers and channels, and so they have a very unique expertise in the field of water that they help to rebuild. After Katrina hurricane, they have to rebuild various places in the US. They are selling their expertise in the Mekong Delta. So yeah, that's why I wanted to go there and understand how they are preparing themselves and the whole world to deal with the water problems.
Yeah, still lots of places to cover, and it's a big topic, but breaking it down the way you do is, I really, really like your approach to it. And thank you very much for sharing your thoughts here, and what went into this project particularly. Sebastián, one last question. You're a self-taught photographer. You didn't go to school. You didn't study photography. What was it that brought you into photography? What's your drive behind doing the work you do?
I think it's I always wanted to tell stories and to meet people. I mean, and I think photography was the best way I found to do that, of course. And it's what is moving me is meeting people, actually. So yeah, I love it. It's always different. You go somewhere and you know nothing and no one, and you're building stuff little by little with the way you interact with people and connect with them and the picture you're taking. I think it's quite magical. So yeah.
That's a good reason. Many photographers, they enjoy talking about gear and all these things. What is your thought as a professional? And it's like, I've spent I had so many conversations here at this festival with so many great photographers, seeing their work, amazing. But I don't think I've ever in these conversations talked about what camera they used or what lens or whatever, what shutter speed.
No, that's not really my thing neither. I mean, I'm not a huge gear fan or technique fan. I mean, I have one camera and two lenses and that's it. I mean, it's not, I think it's not the most important thing. If you have a good picture, you can take it with your phone or a $1 million camera. It's if the picture is, telling something, that's the most important thing, I think. So yeah, I'm not really into that.
That's good to hear, and a relief for people spending too much money on gear.
Don't spend too much money on gear. So just focus on what you want to show and to take picture of.
Spend it on travel or on trips or to getting to interesting places. And
exactly, yeah, do that.
Well, thank you very much, Sebastián. Good luck for the continuation of your project. You're doing a great job, and I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.